The story starts with our protagonist working hard to achieve his goal. He met his quota, so he is getting promoted. A prisoner managed to escape from the station, but when the police officer tried to stop him, our protagonist got shot by mistake and bleeds to death. Because of some mysterious powers, he gets reincarnated into a world similar to Earth. After waking up, he sees a huge dragon flying in the skies. He is shocked by his new look. The mysterious power tells him he has imparted basic knowledge to him. He is given a status window. The mysterious powers tells him his race and age is predetermined, but the rest is up to him. His new name is Lucille. As for his skills, he chooses martial art and other fighting skill. For his main job, he chooses healer so that he can help people. Upon reaching the city gates, Lucille sees that he needs to verify himself and pay a toll. He tells the guard that he is from a small town and doesn't have any verification but is here to learn healing. After learning he is a healer, he calls for his supervisor. Lucille is shocked by the beauty of the paladin Lumina. She tells him to follow her to the healer's GUID. Lucille runs but bumps onto a few adventurers, who are angry after hearing he is a healer and plans to kill him if he becomes a corrupt healer. As they walk through the town, she tells him healers are a very rare profession and enjoy many special benefits. He enters the healer guild and is mesmerized by Lumina's beauty. He is given the form, but for some reason he can read it. He fills up the form, but he doesn't know of his hometowns. He tells the receptionist he doesn't know the name of his hometown, so he writes village instead. She comes out from her room and tells him to channel his magic through a card. Afterwards she goes back inside. Lumina tells Lucille that she is uploading his information onto the Healer Guild's database and he can ask for help from any of their branches. After the receptionist confirms Lucille is a healer, Lumina takes her leave, but he stops Lumina and tells her he knows healing but has yet to use it. He makes a story up and tell her he is the first healer of his town. Lumina explains him the ways through which he can learn healing, out of the multiple options, but after thoroughly thinking, Lucille decides to take the Spartan training. Shocking both of them, the receptionist is called Karura. She will guide him to his room. Before leaving he thanks Lumina and promises her to return the favor one day. Inside his room he finds a spell book. With a lot of interest he starts reading through the book and learns how basic healing works. He looks through his stats and performs healing all night. After waking up from his sleep he realizes his reincarnation was not a dream, that he goes through his magic replenishment. Someone knocks on his door and a beautiful woman enters his room with food. She is called Monica. After a lot of tries, Lucille is now proficient in using healing magic. He goes to the reception where Monica charges him 1 silver coin for a night, but return it after learning Lumina was the one escorting him, and she already paid 10 days rent. She tells him Lumina is the head captain and a paladin. Lucille thinks he has maxed out his luck. As he walks through the town, he comes across the adventurers and they try to make fun of him, but suddenly his allies comes all inured, but they can't take them to a clinic. Monica told Lucille that the higher up are manipulating the healers and their fees are too high for use. Looking at them, Lucille says he can heal them. They go to an alley where Lucille tries to heal them but fails. After focusing his magic he manages to heal the girl. After healing multiple injured ones he faints due to low mana. At night he wakes up and is sad, because he couldn't heal everyone and some of them died. He enters the Adventurers Guild and comes across a very beautiful bunny girl. She explains to him that he can be an adventurer since he has the martial arts skill. He will earn money through quests and the guild takes 10% as fees. Lucille tells her he is a healer so he can mend the people who get hurt. Training in the guild for a free. In exchange he wants training from a trainer. She comes with a huge man called Broad. Lucille thinks he is very scary but keep his confidence and Broad agrees to train him. The girl introduces herself as Nanaella. At night Monica brings him a sumptuous meal. He asks her what level of magic affinity would he have to reach a high-level healer. She says a test he has to reach level 5 within 5 years. It's been 10 days and his stay in the inn is over. Karuro tells him to thank Lumina when he meets her. Inside the Adventurer Guild he comes across a new lady. He tells her he is here for training and she tells him the directions. Upon reaching the training hall, Broad meets him and tries to scare him off, but Lucille stood his ground, impressing him. After running tirelessly around the training room for hours, he seems to be enjoying it and faints after a few laps. Broad tries to fix his flexibility but Lucille is under severe pain. Afterwards, in a direct confrontation, Lucille fails miserably and gets slapped. He tries a few more times but can't even land a hit, but he doesn't quit and continues to get beaten up. Suddenly a group of adventurers comes all injured. Lucille uses his magic and heal her. Afterwards they all want his help and he heals them till he is all drained up. He asks Broad that he can only use it 8 times a day. Broad tells him to use his healing until his mana is low every day to raise his limit. Lucille say he has no money to rent a house, to which Broad says the guild will be providing 3 meals and an accommodation to him, as having a healer will increase the survival rate of the adventurera. This makes Lucille very motivated to rank up faster. Lucille thinks this is all because of his maxed out luck. While he freshens up, Nanaella comes to meet him and tells him if she can clean his clothes for him, but he says no since it's very smelly. Nanaella thinks it's because she is a beast folk, but he tells her she is too pretty to do something like this, but she takes up the job happily. At dinner, Broad invites him to a huge meal which he enjoys. Broad takes him to his room and Lucille tries to sleep but checks the time and it's 7 in the evening. He spends a lot of time practicing his magic instead of sleeping. The next morning, the chef introduces Lucille to a drink that is very effective but smells like garbage. This will improve most of his skill for, but no one has ever finished it. After drinking it, he turns mad and imagines things and decides to chug it down, shocking everyone. His body gains a lot of energy and he starts eating a large piece of meat. After a week of training, Lucille still gets beaten up, but he can block a few of Broad's punches and gets knocked out. Still, he gets up just so he can learn and become strong. Suddenly, a catfolk walks in to get healed for free. Lucille heals her and she starts crying. Her teammates tells him that the others discriminate because of their race. This makes her very happy and she hugs him. As Lucille continues his daily activities, he thinks everyone is keeping an eye on him. He confirms it with Broad and he tells him that it's because they are scared he will run away and they will have to complete quests injured. Days pass by and Lucille continues his training and he regularly drinks the substance, and soon his 1-month contract is finished. Lucille says he will come back when he has earned enough money. Broad gives him a lot of money as a reward for helping a lot of people. Lucille takes the money and offers it to the healing guild so he can train for 1 more year. Broad gives him a low-level holy book which makes Lucille very happy. Seeing him drink the substance, both the chef and Broad is shocked. Broad decides to give Lucille a rest day. Since he has nothing to do, he tells him to look around the butchery. He meets up with Galba, the older brother of the chef. Lucille observes him taking out a boar from a bag and sees how an animal is butchered, and this meat is used to fund the guild. Broad's objective is to send him here so he can learn the weak points of beasts. Galba thanks Lucille because the death rate had decreased significantly. He tells Lucille that he will be butchering a horned rabbit, which he has a hard time cutting, but he adapts to it quickly. He washes his clothes as they are covered in blood. Nanaella comes to console him since it must be difficult for him and tells him that she is grateful for his help. At night, his dinner was the horned rabbit that he butchered. He gets another rest day but has nothing to do. As he walks, the girls gang up on him to teach him knowledge about this world. Nanaella tells him about the land he is staying in, and it's the only city where slavery is prohibited. 6 months have passed by as Lucille continues his daily activities. His clothes are too small for him, so Nanaella shows him around the town to buy him clothes. After shopping, as he was walking to the guild, he hears a scream. It's Monica, and she is severely injured. After she wakes up, Lucille explains to her what had happened and he saved her. Nanaella tells Lucille it must be done by mercenaries. Her friend needed healing magic, so they forced them to slavery in return for healing them. According to Monica, this was done by biggest healing clinic in the town. Lucille tells Nanaella to accommodate her into the guild so she can stay safe. Monica looks paler and asks Lowell how much she owes him for healing her. He tells her that she doesn't have to pay and offers her a meal, which makes her emotional. After a month, the attacker was caught, but they couldn't find connections to the clinic. Another 2 months have passed. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Broad calls for Lucille since a huge portions of adventurers have been injured. Upon visiting the clinic, he sees a lot of injured patients. After healing one of them, he is out of mana since he casted heal 8 times on one of them. With the help of potions, Lucille managed to save them. After waking up, he is a bit sad since a few of them lost their lives. As he is looking through his status window, he has gotten a lot stronger. A year has passed by and Lucille plans to go on an adventure, but he will be staying in the town for the time being and stay in touch with Broad and the others. Lucille comes to the Healers Guild and meets up with Kururu. He is her for his renewal. She asks for his card and suddenly comes out to check if he is okay. He explains to her what he did in the Adventures Guild. This makes Kururu very shocked. He tells her that he has learned to defend himself since there is a lot of corruption. She can promote him to a rank C, but it will cost him 90 silvers. Out of nowhere, Broad comes with a huge bag of silver coins and pays for his promotion and his transfer to the Adventures Guild, to which Lucille agrees. At the dinner table, everyone is congratulating him for his return. He has to consume the substance and gives a speech while consuming it, shocking everyone as he chugs down the substance. During the party, he is smelling horrible. The adventurers has a talk with him and tells him to make a move on Nanaella. Monica tells Lucille that she is having a great time here and they get more close to each other. On the other hand, the clinic owner is pissed because his income has lowered. The next day he meets up with Lucille and tells him that he is ignorant and calls himself someone great. He orders him to quit the guild and work for him, but Lucille instantly rejects him, and because of him his income had decreased a lot. After hearing his charges, Lucille figures out his shady business. He tries to justify himself, but according to Lucille he is a corrupt, but the great healer thinks Lucille is too naive to understand the world. Lucille asks him unemotional questions but he doesn't care and tells his guards to kill him, but Broad stops them, and seeing him the healer runs away instantly. The following days people are trying to investigate him, so he is under risk. As of today Broad will double his training. The next days he is beaten up by Broad continuously, but seeing his persistence everyone is shocked. Lucille can now use barrier-type magic and Broad tests it out. He hands Lucille a sword and a shield. This is because he is performing well, so he gets to use weapons. Lucille therefore continues his training as he learns multiple skills. The healer is going crazy because of how low he is charging for healing, so he writes a letter to the healing guild and manipulates words so that Lucille can be transferred somewhere else. 6 months have passed since his last encounter with the healer. He enjoys his meal and have gained a lot more muscles. The chef thinks both Lucille and Broad are masochist when it comes to training. Lucille gets a letter from the church. The letter says that he is getting promoted for his services and will transfer to the main branch, and he will have 6 months since he is currently staying in the Adventurers Guild. Broad says it was probably done by that healer, so he asks Lucille to heal everyone till his stay ends. After healing everyone, Lucille is extremely tired. The chef brings him substance. Seeing it he is horrified, but he chugs it down. Broad has gotten a lot stronger while training Lucille and has ranked up his martial arts to SSS rank. They discuss about Substance X and how Lucille is horrified about it. Galba comes and joins them, telling Broad that it was done by the healer, so he will have to take action. He was previously an S-rank assassin. According to him, Lucille is a dedicated person. Galba can help him in training, but Lucille might die in progress. They talk about Lucille's love life and he shared Galba the type of girls he like. 6 months have passed by and he has been promoted to an A-rank healer. Lucille wants to meet Broad in the training hall one last time. He takes Broad to a graveyard and apologizes to the lives he couldn't save. Now that he is gone, the healer will manipulate the adventures and ruin their lives. With everything in mind, he requests Broad to train the rookies that will increase their rate of survival, and according to him Broad is perfect for this work. Lucille thinks he has grown a lot mentally and it's all because of Broad, so Broad decides to make the course. Broad says what will happen to Monica since he bought her in. He decides to take responsibility and wants her to stay here. The girls were eavesdropping on them but gets caught. Lucille thanks them, but instead they thank him for everything he has done and they says they will always be there for him. Lucille tells everything he thinks about them, making both of them extremely happy and shy. Hearing this, Monica starts crying. He promises them that he will meet them sooner or later. The next day he leaves, bidding everyone farewell. Broad gives a magical bag and gold coins as a gift. He travels outside to meet his new companions. They are his adventurer friends. Lucille reaches the Holy City. His first stop will be to the Adventurers Guild, but he doesn't want to go alone. One of them accompany him and he directly wants to see the master. The server who greeted them is on a similar rank to his escort. After hearing him ordering 3 barrels of Substance X, he hands Lucille a glass which she drinks with ease. He decides to bring in 3 barrels of the Substance X. Lucille is shocked by how big the healing guild is. They bid Lucille farewell. He gained a new powerful spellbook. After entering, he is fascinated by how big the main branch is. He meets up with Grandheart, a priest, and seeing all the fancy things in the castle, Lucille is amazed. He runs into Lumina, but she calls him Louis, which he corrects her. She tells him to meet her later. Grandheart wants to hear the truth since according to the letter Lucille is causing more harm than healing people. Lucille confidently answers him and Grandheart says he will be a part of the cleansing team and will be given 2 titles and his wages will be 20 gold coins per month, making Lucille shocked. He visits Lumina for a cup of tea and he tells her what had happened. Lumina warns him since it's dangerous inside the dungeon and everything he gets from the cleansing will be his. Now Lucille has a goal to cleanse the zombies and help everyone. He meets with George, the previous exorcist. Grandheart gives Lucille an emblem worth 10 platinum coins and even provides him a levitating platform, but adds multiple conditions and provides it to Lucille. After going into the dungeon, the stench is horrific. George demonstrates how to cleanse the zombie and purifies a zombie to show Lucille. When they die, he gets a magical stone. Lucille roams around the dungeon and comes across a horde of zombies and starts blabbering spells and manages to purify them. But his levels is still the same, since he has a limit to the number of times he can purify. He embeds his mana onto his sword and hunts the zombies easily and starts experimenting them. He goes on to the second level and looks for a treasure. Lucille enjoys his lunch with a glass of substance. Afterwards he comes across skeletons and panics purify them. Without too much trouble he completes his first day. George thought Lucille was dead, but he managed to survive. Although he is slaying monsters, his level won't increase, so he thinks the zombies are an illusion. He then meets Catalina. She tells him Lucille that he has earned 4,000 points, which is extremely high for his first day. He looks through the spellbooks, but they are extremely expensive. Moving to the weapons, they are dirt cheap, since most healers can't use them. So Lucille decides to buy a sword and a spear tomorrow after garnering enough points, but she gives it him for a discount at 4,000 points. Grandheart is like a mother and instructs Lucille to sleep on time and brush his teeth and gives him a clinical robe. As he runs through the dungeon earning points, suddenly he steps on a trap but thinks it's normal. All of a sudden the number of zombies increases significantly, but Lucille can handle them easily. Walking through the dungeon he comes across a door but decides to avoid it. According to George, he progressed too far where even he didn't reach. After entering the room, a small light glows the room and a huge army of zombies surround him. Lucille kills them but gets injured and thinks how an illusion can hurt him. He manages to kill all of them. This still seems easier than Broad's training. Suddenly a huge lich summons itself, but Lucille is injured and his healing won't work. The monster is afraid of Lucille's weapons. Right when he was about to cast a spell, Lucille attacks him using his sword, but it heals himself. But Lucille had a trump card and manages to defeat it. Now his magic is working. After collecting all the loot, a staircase opens up. He goes to the shop and shows Catalina the magic stones. He then explains to her what happened and she thinks he is reckless. Lucille gained a total of 100,000 points. He shows the Lich's gear and she tells him to follow her. She takes him to meet the Pope directly. Catalina explains to her what Lucille has achieved, after assessing the items he bought to her. Lucille introduces himself to the Pope and places the items. These object belongs to someone close to her who died a decade ago, so she wants to purchase it from him. Lucille decides to give it to her, and in return she gives him a magic pouch that has a huge capacity. Lucille writes his mistakes from the boss battle and think he made too many. He goes to eat breakfast and comes across Lumina, and she introduces her colleagues to Lucille. Lumina offers Lucille to join with them and Lucille thanks his luck for it. After hearing him hunting a lich, all of them think he is too reckless. Since he is lacking training, Lumina offers to help him and Lucille thinks it because of his luck. Lucille is back to the dungeon and has a smooth journey in the dungeon. Catalina hands him the pouch and shows him how it is used. The bag is full of spellbooks as a bonus. The next day he meets everyone from Lumina's regiment. They have to warm up and jog, but after a while they all surpass Lucille easily, but he won't quit and somehow managed to survive, but he was 8 laps behind. Moving to combat training, Lumina thinks his stance is reckless. He tries to attack Lumina but he gets beaten up. Afterwards he uses his magic to lay a trap and manages to attack her, but she knocks him out. After waking up, Lumina's colleagues think Lumina is going hard on him as a form of respect. Elizabeth, Lumina's second in command, loses to Lucille's group because of his overpowered healing skills. According to them, Lucille is too overpowered for his age, but Lucille's level still won't increase. On the 16th floor he slays the zombies easily. He intentionally steps on a trap and gets surrounded by zombies. He defeats them effortlessly and reaches the boss entrance. For 2 more days he did multiple experiments. Elizabeth says today they will be teaching him double wielding. Seeing their fight, Lucille is impressed. When it comes to him, Lucille is easily holding her off but gets knocked out by a surprise attack. Then he fights Elizabeth and loses miserably. After that he enters the boss room. In no time Lucille managed to finish the 20th floor boss room. He meets up with the Pope and she tells him that because of the corrupt mind of some priests the dungeon was formed and the only way to clear it is by obliterating the core. Although many paladins tried but couldn't do it because of the 50 smell. He asks for a very high grade equipment and she tells him that he can be promoted when he reaches level 7. He goes to the Adventurers Guild and requests for 10 barrels of Substance X. The GUID master would like to offer him a residency. Lucille can help them if it's as an adventurer instead of a healer. Recently there seems to be a lot of injured people. Lucille says he will be charging 1 silver only, making everyone shocked. The adventurers plan to kill themselves then work as a slave. After entering they seems to be hostile towards Lucille. But after the master introduces himself and his service they can't believe it's really him. His new nickname is the Masochist Healer. He states conditions and forbid them from calling him names. Lucille uses a high-level healing magic and saves them. Everyone thanks him and is planning a nickname for him and decides to name him Saint Weirdo. In the morning, Lumina was greeted by everyone for her journey and they want her to be like Lucille. He wants to stay inside the dungeon and he will visit Catalina once a week. After a week he is back and provided with the high-level equipment. The rest of the day he will be spending on the dungeon. On his free day he goes to the guild to collect his Substance X. The adventurers want him to attend the mock battle. During the mock battle he uses magic and heals all of them. He asks them questions and according to them Lumina's group is pretty safe. Everyone in his old town is doing great and two of the receptionists are getting married, making Lucille depressed that it might be Nanaella or Monica. 6 more months pass by and now Lucille is on the 30th floor of the dungeon. He earned 500,000 in a single outing. Catalina thinks he is taking drugs and he says that he consumed Substance X. Catalina rushes him to the Pope and she is impressed by his performance. Onto Substance X, the Pope says it's an enhancement drug that was used as a pill but is now only found as a liquid which is impossible to drink. Catalina hand him a note that describes the details of the dungeon. According to the note, this medicine amplifies the 3 primal urges and the downside of this is due to its unbearable smell and it will slow down his sexual urges, making him panic and stressed. Lucille continuously trains himself. As Lucille walks through the streets he comes across a little girl. He takes her inside to see Nanaella and Monica. Lucille thinks he is dreaming and is wondering why they are here. The adventurers take him to heal everyone. Lucille wants them to check on the little girl. He thinks it's because they are getting married and he gets depressed. The little needs help and wants him to accompany her. Even the girls wants to join him. After visiting the slums, everyone is injured there. They were attacked while the traders tried to cross the borders and left them behind. While Lucille tried to cure them he gets stabbed but he holds on to himself, curing everyone using high heal. He then proceeds to help all of them and they start chanting his name. As he was having dinner with the girls they tell him that they are here on vacation before the wedding. Lucille asks them who is getting married and they say that the other 2 receptionists which they already mentioned in their letters. The guild master forgot to pass on the letter to them. He then spent time with them on their 3 days of visit and the guild master held a party for messing up the letters. They take their leave, making Lucille emotional. Inside the guild the survivors are bowing to him and apologizing for stabbing him. Lucille says it's okay. Sheila, the little girl, looks happy but she lost her vocal cords in an accident. Lucille uses a special blessing that will slowly heal her vocal cords as they take their leave. He comes across Lumina and she is impressed that he reached so deep into the dungeon. She wants to see how much he has improved. Lucille is now able to take Lumina's attacks. Seeing his skills she is impressed. After fighting a lot Lumina thinks his fighting has improved. Lucille thinks her tone is more friendly. In reality this is her true personality. The next day she leaves for another adventure. Lucille is now ready to take on the 40th floor boss. Lumina provided a letter which described the enemy's abilities. Lucille tries many things but the monster is very sturdy. He takes out his Substance X and the monster starts avoiding him. The following days he continues fighting the monster, uses the substance as a safe zone. Lucille figures out this is not an illusion, so if he loses he will die. After a gruesome fight Lucille manages to behead the monster. The monster drops a spellbook but it seems he can't open the exit door. Even after trying a lot it won't budge, so tying Substance X onto his body he starts climbing the floors, and got many rewards on the way. He finds himself onto the 50th floor of the dungeon. Half a year has passed but no one has seen Lucille. Every day the healing charges are increasing. Upon entering the room he comes across a huge lich. Lucille tries to cast a spell but it stops him, so using a barrier around him Lucille stops him but he is low on magic. Lucille tries to cast a sanctuary circle under the monster, severely injuring it. Dies. Before dying it looks like he tried to say something. Suddenly a magic rectangle forms and drains Lucille's magic to open itself. He goes down to come across a new level and sees an undead dragon. Lucille tries to use sanctuary healing to purify the dragon. It thanks him and will allow him a few treasure. The dragon says he will also give him special benefits. Lucille asks him about the dungeon. He says that he is trapped here and the world has many mysteries. The dragon is impressed that he is not greedy and decides to give him his protection. The dragon fades away, imparting all his powers to Lucille. Suddenly a spear and a sword latch onto him and teleports him outside the dungeon. He goes to meet up with Catalina and she is extremely happy to see him. She is very happy that he is not dead since he was missing for half a year. Outside everyone is protesting, looking for Lucille. Everyone is here to meet him and start looking for him since he was missing. Afterwards he healed everyone and decides to have a battle with Broad but gets easily beaten up. he continues to fight even after getting beaten to death. Everyone bids him goodbye and Brod tells him that he is very important to the people. They wanted to abandon their work after hearing he was missing, but Brod stopped them. Lucille is emotional that they are leaving. He then makes a through report to the Pope. Lumina tried to find him, but they were pushed back by the monster horde. He explains to her how he was stuck in the 40th floor. He says that he has confidential information about the dungeon. After everyone is set out, Lucille explains that he met an undead dragon and all the dragons are cursed by a wicked deity and a demon king will be formed before the hero. Lucille asks why he is level 1 even after his amazing stats. This is because of the side effects of Substance X. The following days the Pope hosts a grand banquet and promotes Lucille to an S-rank hunter and gives him the privilege to not take orders from anyone other than the Pope herself. Lucille is scared but starts giving a speech about how healers are misusing the church, extorting money, and even Sheila has regained her voice. The receptionist get married successfully. This concludes all 12 episodes. If you enjoyed this, make TI subscribe and like the video, and don't forget to comment down how the video was.